There we're going. I am going to attempt to do this in a single take. No matter how many takes it takes to take this take, I'm going to attempt to do this in a single take because I wanted it to be as raw as humanly possible. I have my notes here, so you might see me looking at my notes occasionally while I'm recording this. I am so excited to make this video. I also have a fair bit of trepidation based on the response and the reactions I've been seeing, and I realized I just really wanted to make this video to set things to light, to be transparent, and also point out why things are actually really awesome. Both for myself and also the Channel Makers or Income School brand. Things are just really, really good, better than they have ever been right now, actually. So I actually also, in addition, I was going to start this video with a grand howdy, but then I realized I need a new greeting. So if you have any ideas for greetings, please do put them in the comments. I need a new greeting. All right, let's go through these. I tried to outline a few questions that I think are probably burning on everyone's mind here and try to be as, again, like I said, single take, as raw, as radical, as transparent as I could possibly be here. So first big question on everyone's mind, and again, I'm speaking for myself here. This is my thoughts, my opinions on all of these. The first big question is, Nate, why did you leave Channel Makers? I think the simplest way to answer this is to say that I was ready. It was time for me to move on for a few different reasons. So if you've watched the video on Channel Makers, you'll know about this, but I'll just provide a little bit more context here. So I started off with Channel Makers in an employee role. I didn't own anything on the Channel Makers brand or anything like that, but I was hired to build the YouTube presence for the Income School company. And I was so grateful for that opportunity. Absolutely, it was life-changing to me. And I knew going into it that I didn't have any ownership with it. But of course, over time, putting so much time and effort into building something, I loved it. And I cared a lot about the audience there. To clarify, again, another thing that was in the other video, there was a concern that maybe it was just the team producing it all along and I was just the actor or the face of it. That actually wasn't the case at all. From the very beginning, I did absolutely, undeniably, most of the work on that channel. It was headed up by me early on. It was Anna and myself, but then it was primarily me heading up all of that. And that included the ideating, the planning, the researching, the producing, the editing, the thumbnails, the publishing. All of those things were done by me. So it was authentically me producing all of those. And of course, as I put so much effort into doing something like that, I start to feel like, well, this is really awesome. I would love to have ownership in something. That started becoming more and more important to me. And after a while, it became clear and that my vision for where it was heading and the owner's vision for where it was heading, as well as my professional priorities, weren't aligned anymore. And it's just fine. That's just how it works among people, among professionals, and that happens all the time, right? And so this was no different in that regard. And so I realized, you know what? I think it's time for me to move on, do my own thing, because I just really wanted to do it. I really knew that I had a lot to give still. I wasn't done. I was nowhere near done, and it became clear to me that in order to proceed and continue on with creation and being an entrepreneur, I needed to do my own thing, which is why you're now watching this video on my own channel here. So that's the first thing. That's why I left. Second question, what's going to happen to Channel Makers? Put simply, I think they are going to rock it. And I mean that absolutely sincerely. I don't have any, at this current point, I don't have any control over what they're producing, but from what I saw after I left, they've got some great stuff in the works. Also, I know I'm totally biased on this here. I did my best as I was transitioning out of working there to provide as good a transition as I possibly could. So that included planning some upcoming banger videos, man. They have some really good videos in the works that I'm kind of sad that I won't be there for, but when they get published, and of course the additional videos they come up with, they're gonna be awesome. So I just wanted to put that in here and say, look, I realize it came as a shock, the transition. I'll address the sudden thing here in a moment, but It came as a shock, that transition, but if you are watching this and you were or are a part of that audience and you're considering leaving or unsubscribing as a result of the transition, I just ask you to just please reconsider. Take it from Nate here. I genuinely, like I said, they're going to rock. I genuinely think that, and just give them a chance. Give them a chance to show you what they're going to do. So just take it from Nate here on that. I also needed to address here the next question. A lot of concern in the comments on those videos that were published recently. Well, Nate, was it just smoke and mirrors, everything you did on Channel Maker's end? Was it entirely the team and you were just the actor being on camera? Well, first of all, I have had a fair amount of acting experience, but no, I was not just the actor. And like I mentioned earlier, I genuinely produced most of the content on that channel. So when I said I found these channels, I did this research, it was me doing it most of the time, especially near the beginning and over the first at least half to 3/4 of the lifespan of the channel that I was on there. More recently, the team started growing. And so at the beginning, it was me that produced most of the content, right? But then more recently, the team started growing and I was able to start delegating some of those things like editing, because editing isn't my specialty. Thumbnails, because again, that's also not my specialty. I'm always acquiring skill sets, but those were some of the things. And then we brought on other team members to help with planning and researching. That would look like, hey, I'm going to, hey, this is the video idea. I would say, hey, this is the video idea. Let's research. Would you go research this and bring me your findings? And then I'd be reviewing it, so that genuinely, when I did say I found or we found these things, it was the absolute truth. It was no form of some sort of corporate overlords that were telling me what to do the entire time. That just simply wasn't the case. And I know probably for most of you watching this, you didn't think that, but for the few that were concerned about that, I did want to address that. Also, I will address the concern that, well, it only takes, the only way to be successful on YouTube is to have a team. While most YouTube channels do acquire a team, I hope you understand here that it was never my intention with Channel Makers to make it seem like the channel itself was an example of how to grow a YouTube channel. That I gave examples, I gave some personal examples, but as part of the reason why I never did videos like how I make X amount of money, or how I acquired 10,000 subscribers in 1 week, because in all cases, and of course there are little exceptions here and there, but in all cases my intention was genuinely to show from my research what was working, and actually from working with real YouTube channels like yours, or like the audience of that channel. And so I knew pretty early on that I didn't have the experience, expertise. I couldn't go on to there and say, here's exactly how to grow a YouTube channel because I've done it 100 times. No, at the beginning, I knew that I couldn't play that game, so I went with research expertise. I went further in my own way than any other channel on YouTube by saying, well, let's actually find some answers. Let's see what is actually working. Let's look for patterns, because those were some strengths that I felt like I had. And so genuinely, that was the intention, and will continue. I would assume, again, I don't have any control over this, but that will continue to be the intention of the channel, is to provide real world examples of building a successful YouTube channel. So I hope that clarifies that also for you. Next question, why was the transition so sudden? Well, of course, there was more going on behind the scenes, that some of it personal, some of it whatever, that can be addressed maybe another time, maybe never. But the reality is, I think the headliner or the bottom line of this is that I like to move quickly. In my personality, when I know that I want to do something, when I set my mind to something, I go for it, and I go for it quickly. Could I have made the transition a bit smoother or done more on my part? Probably yes. And if it does feel so shocking and stark to you, I apologize for that. If I were to go back and change it, I probably would have done some things differently. But thank you for your understanding on that. Okay, next question. A lot of people had concerns because I displayed emotion in a few of my goodbye videos. Are you okay, Nate? Yes, I'm more than okay. At this current moment, I am extremely excited. I, I have a lot of really good things going on here. I displayed emotion in those videos because, like I mentioned earlier on, it was something that was so, I just look at it like when you put so much effort and energy into something and then you're leaving or you're letting it go, so to speak, of course, there's some emotion behind that. No, the company did not force me out. I chose to leave. It was my choice. And I just also had grown to care a lot for the audience and for the customers and the clients and just everyone that worked over there. So that was why that was going on. And of course, mental health does play a factor into it. And you know, potentially, you know that I have talked about mental health in the past, and it's probably something that will come up again in the future. That those things have a way of doing that. But thank you, by the way, genuinely, for all of your comments and concerns. I really appreciate that. Next question. What is next? What is next for Nate? Well, let me show you something here. So I perfectly frame myself right here. But if you look out of frame on either side of me, these are literally curtains that the curtain rods haven't even come, so I can't even hang them up on the wall yet. So I've created my own sound dampening here. Things are pretty scrappy here as I'm working on some stuff. But this time it is absolutely, really and absolutely authentically me doing all of this, unless you count my wonderful wife and my 3 kiddos that are currently out playing in the yard. We're gonna go see a parade later after I record this. Unless you count them. But aside from that, it really genuinely is me doing this. And I will say this, I haven't been this excited in a long time.